Hi everyone! Today I will be sharing my journey of moving from Norway to Spain with kids. This video is a motivation for you who wants to move to Spain but don't know where to start and how to go about the whole process. I hope that by the end of this video you will see that it's not as scary with a little bit of planning as it may seem. I started to plan our relocation 4 or 5 months before it actually happened. For the record, I have 4 kids, 12, 9, 3 years old and a little baby. Why did we choose to spend a year in Spain? I had my baby boy in April 2024 and I went on a parental leave. My fiance and I thought that it will be the best time to try and see if we like to live somewhere else than Oslo. So how did I go about planning the whole thing? First, I sorted out financial questions. Next step was education for my kids, including schools and kindergartens. Then I was looking at housing. After that, I started to prepare documents. Then we looked at moving arrangements, and then I made sure that we have insurance in place. Of course, first you need to think about your circumstances and working commitments, how flexible you are. If there is no problem with work, or maybe you are going on parental leave, or you can get a job in Spain, then we can move to the next part. First, I applied for Norwegian school for my oldest kid because I wanted him to attend a Norwegian school. In Spain, there are 5 officially registered Norwegian schools, one in Gran Canaria, one in Albir, one in Malaga, one in Albir, and one in Relocating. We chose to relocate to area of Albir, because there are 2 schools here, and after checking the surroundings, I like this area the most. By the end of February, before official deadline, I sent applications to both schools, Albir and Costa Blanca. The deadline is the same as in Norway, 1st of March. Costa Blanca have a drawing system, so it's like a lottery when it comes to the giving places that they have left. And Albir have just a waiting list based on who applies first. When I received an answer in March, we were on place 27 in the school in Albir, and Costa Blanca school just replied to me that we didn't get the place this time. In that mail from Albir, it was also stating if we will want to be in a waiting list, we need to give them an answer. So of course I decided to not give up and send a message to school that we want to be in a waiting list. I also asked if we would get any updates on the waiting list movements, but I received an answer that they couldn't send emails to everyone and I could just check in with them later if I want to know the progress. So by the end of March, when I sent a new email to the school, we were already on place number 12 in the waiting list. In the end of the video, I will tell you what happened with Norwegian school and also the changes in the regulations for 2025. Since we were already set on moving, I looked at alternatives, of course, like sending my son to a Spanish school, for example, or another international school. British schools down here are quite expensive and ranging from 500 to 700 euros a month. A Spanish school is more or less free, but it means that the child needs to adapt, which is not for everyone, especially if you don't plan to stay for a long time. The stories I found online was varied, and some people say that Spanish schools were amazing and adaptation went smoothly, especially for younger kids. And other people say that they were struggling because their kids couldn't connect due to the language barrier. I decided that if we don't get the space in a Norwegian school, my kid will be attending the Spanish school, because I believe that kids need to be exposed to different experiences, even the challenging one, especially boys. For kids under 6, you might need a place in kindergarten, and as I have a 3 years old, I was researching kindergartens in the area. I know that there was a Norwegian kindergarten before, but they unfortunately got closed down last year. Also in the area of Albir, we have one British kindergarten, which called Little People. So I applied for the spot there. Yes, price is a little bit high, but I am very happy with the curriculum they're following, and I can see how my child develops so fast. It's a very different experience after attending Norwegian kindergarten. Thankfully, the kindergarten had one spot available, so we took it. Otherwise, you can apply for Spanish kindergarten, of course, which is also more or less for free, but you need to do it after you arrive and register in the municipality where you're planning to live. After sending applications to kindergarten and school, it was time to look at the housing. And the first thing I did is to join all the groups on Facebook related to living and housing in the location I chose. Here will be the groups of somewhere here will be the list of the groups that I joined, so it might be easier for you to search for them. It took me about a month to find the house and sign the contract from Norway. I was lucky to find a good Norwegian people to rent from. I went through a lot of posts in Facebook groups first with offers, and then what I did was to post a little information about myself and my family and what we're looking for. This way I was able to find house pretty quick because people texted me directly in my private messages. If the video is useful for you so far, subscribe. Your support will mean a lot for me. Be aware that the prices for rentals here are very similar to those in Norway if you want to live in a decent place. I also tried to look at the webpage called Idealista. I didn't get any responses even from the 2 houses I was interested in. In general, it's more difficult to rent from Spanish people if you're not in the country yet. Houses with 3 bedrooms close to Norwegian schools usually rented out in the range of 1,800 to 2,500 euros a month, plus monthly electricity. For electricity we paid around 130 euros in summer and up to 400 euros now in the winter months. We signed a contract for 10 months covering 1 school year, from August 18 to June 20. This is quite typical for renting a property here because owners want usually to rent out the property for the school year, which is 10 months, and then for the rest of the season, the summer season, they either come themselves for vacation or they can Airbnb it, which is more expensive of course in the high season. My advice is to take this option if you find a good house, because even if it's less than a year, when you decide to stay longer, you can search for something more permanent once you familiarize yourself with the area. Next, I organized all the documents I might need in Spain. I requested copies of my kids' birth certificates, making sure that they are in multilingual version, because then you don't need to actually translate them to Spanish. Then what you need to do is to legalize them, because it's required by Spanish authorities. To legalize these papers, you just simply need to go and put apostille on each birth certificate. I also made sure our passports were up to date and that we have a good amount of time before the expiration date. Who lives in Norway knows that for kids, the passports are given only for a maximum of 2 or 3 years, depends on the age of the child, and this time usually running quick. Also, I printed out vaccination certificates, as you will need them here if you want to go to schools and kindergartens, either international or Spanish. This you can do from the Helsenorge page, and what you can do is to get European insurance health cards. It's also need to be applied for at Helsenorge.no. You might want to order these cards in advance, because when I did that, it took around 4 weeks to get them by mail. In Norway, I notified school and kindergarten that we will be moving, and in kindergarten I requested permission for 1 year with a saved place in kindergarten in case we return. And school I just notified by email because I still didn't have place in any other school, and when I got a place I just sent the application via my kommune page. I live in Oslo kommune. There you can change schools, so the application is basically that you're moving out and you're changing the school. Regarding the moving process, you have different options. If you own a home in Norway, it will be easier to store things, but in my case I was renting the flat in Oslo and I had no place to store my furniture and appliances. So we decided to sell as many things as we could. I sold everything I wanted through Posten.no, and the small items that I don't wanted to sell, I just asked my friends to store for me. I looked also in the option of renting a storage unit, but in the area of Oslo and around, the prices is quite high, and in the end I realized that for the price of paying storage for the whole year, it will be cheaper to buy new furniture if I decide to come back to Oslo. Anyways, when you come back and rent a new flat, you might want new stuff. So as we have a car, we decide to buy anhänger of 2 meters, and we basically packed everything we needed in it. It ended up being mostly all the clothes, toys, baby bed, stroller, and like kitchen stuff that I don't wanted to give up. I can tell you that if you rent a furnished house down here, as we did, you don't really need a lot of things with you. Now, as I looked at the weather around the year, it's not that cold and you don't really need warm stuff with you if you're not planning to go skiing, for example. And if you take clothes and needed things, you can actually just fly down here with extra luggage weight. Our house, for example, have all the stuff in the kitchen that you might need, all the appliances, TVs, towels, bed sheets, everything, because the owners rent it out as an Airbnb in summer, so it comes with mostly everything for living. But again, if you prefer your own stuff, of course, take it. A lot of stuff also can be bought quite cheaply down here, and so it might cost more to move your own things from Norway than to buy some things down here. The last thing I did upon my arrival here is to move my mail from Norwegian address to the Spanish one. You can do it on the Posten website. It works great so far. I've received all the mail I'm supposed to, and only one downside for me is that you cannot order this after sending of the mail for more than a month. And now the last update about Norwegian school. When I first got the message that we were on place 29 in a waiting list, I was a bit sad because we have already secured a house in Albir and I wanted my son to attend this school. I applied for the place in 7th grade, and when I checked at the end of March, we were already on place 12 in the waiting list. From there, I send mail to check every 2 weeks because the school offers place to the next in the waiting list and they have 2 weeks to answer if they want a place or not. And some people get a place in another school, for example in Costa Blanca, that's why they decline. Some people just decide not to move in the end because they are scared and don't know how to make it work. As I saw that many people were declining, I decided that it's worth to wait. By April 23rd, we were already in place 9, and by May 14, we were on place 7. By June 5th, we were a first runner-up, and on June 13, I received the mail from school offering me the spot for my son in 7th grade. I know that for the school year 2025-2026, the school raised price to 210 euros per child. They have a discount for siblings, second child for 140 euros and third child 100 euros. Additionally, starting from 2025, Albir School changed the payment system to a semester basis. So you pay twice a year instead of monthly payments, and the first payments cover the first 5 months. You need to pay before 15th of July, before the school year starts. The second payment covers the next half of the year and you need to pay it before 15th of January. I can tell you that in 2025 it was 300 applicants for the whole school, which might sound quite overwhelming, especially if you really want a place. I can explain why there are so many people on the waiting list. In 2024-25 school year, there were only 4 places available on 7th grade. For grades 1 to 4th, there are around 10 kids in each grade, plus minus 2. Grades 5 to 7 are combined together in one class, with about 4 or 5 kids in each group. And for grades 8, 9 and 10, there is a very few students right now, maybe like 3, 4 in each class. But I actually don't know if there is 4 or 5 places in total or the people just moving back, and it's actually not so many people who stay here. I heard that the Costa Blanca school has much bigger classes in each grade, but I personally love the atmosphere when there is a fewer kids in the school. The kids are happy. There have been a few concerts that they organized, social meetings, and the staff put their soul into educating kids. So yes, it's difficult to get a place in this school, but the facilities are very nice and it's totally worth the wait. If you applied to both schools, Albir and Costa Blanca, and got place in Costa Blanca, I would take it in your place, because with so many applicants this year, you might not have a place in Albir if you decide to wait like I did, for example. In the next part, I will share how I handle all the registration related questions, tips about activities for kids, getting a SIM card, health insurance, and more practical details on living in Spain. Subscribe to not lose our connection, and bye for now.